What is going on, YouTube people? New York Kinds of Comics here. Like clockwork, some hobby topics just come around every few months. You just set your watch by them. Card cleaning is back on the menu. I've actually, so funny enough, this is a video that had been on my list of videos to do for a while. It was going to be titled probably a little bit different and thumbnailed a little bit different, but I will use this Victor 1 of 1 as the entry point for it. And the gist of it is card cleaning's here to stay. It's not going anywhere. And I don't know what to tell you. I really don't know what to tell you. If you're not familiar with what's going on, the Victor 101 Black Prism PSA 10 was graded walkthrough at PSA offices. People were already kind of questioning, like, this card's a little off-centered, but PSA has 60/40 standards for centering, so if that was the only defect on it, maybe that would let it get through. So this card was already kind of under the spotlight a little bit. So the folks that pulled this card, North Cal Sports Cards, took this to the PSA offices for a walkthrough service. While there, they recorded a little 10-minute video. You could find it over on their YouTube page. And there's a little 10 to 15 second clip that has the internet ablaze.
Hey, real quick though, I want to give a huge shout out to Kurt's Card Care. Kurt, if you're watching this, your product is phenomenal.
Uh-oh, he said the Kurt's word. People are going to get triggered. Listen. This is what it really comes down to. The grading companies, and this is not a PSA specific thing, all the grading companies. The grading companies want to play fast and loose with card cleaning. Now, trimming, color touch, legit alterations like that, nobody likes that sort of stuff. In fact, this is from a few months ago, 10 months ago now, but I ran 2 polls back to back. Should card trimming, this was back when the Evan Mathis stuff was going on. Should card trimming be acceptable practice in the hobby? Yes, 7%, no, 93%. Should card cleaning be an acceptable practice in the hobby, aka Kurt's Card Care, etc.? Now, this is my viewing audience, so say what you will about yourselves. Yes, 77%, no, 23%. There are 2 primary factors going on here. One, I genuinely think, and I'll show you the clip in a minute, it is hard for them to catch this stuff. The problem is, if you spray something on the card, rub something on the card, and you wipe it off to polish it up, and it's not on the card anymore because you wipe it off, there's nothing there for them to catch. How are they supposed to catch something that is not there anymore? Trimming, that sort of stuff, different story. There's things left behind, or in this case, things cut off, but there's evidence. If you spray the card down with something and wipe it off, what are they supposed to do? Pretend that it's there? They're not going CSI card. They're not bringing in Gil Grissom from CSI Las Vegas to inspect every single card and do chemical analysis on the surface. That just does not happen. 2, they don't want to. The fact that card cleaning exists is good business for the grading companies. Because you could sit there with your PSA 9s, your BGS 9s, your SGC 9.5s, crack them open, and on a wing and a prayer and a little bit of elbow grease, resubmit the card back into whatever grading company you want to potentially get a grade bump. That is good business for the grading companies. On top of that, I've mentioned this 1,000 times before, stuff like this is, the way I've understood it, is how this stuff became acceptable practices in the comic book industry. Cleaning and pressing got accepted from the grading side of things because it could not be caught. So if you can't catch it anyway, you might as well embrace it. Now, some people aren't going to like to hear that, but I think the ground is shifting on this one towards more and more people being perfectly fine with wiping down cards with a cleaner, a polish, whatever. Is there long lasting impacts? I have no idea. No idea. But a vast majority of people in the hobby, whether you want to call them collectors, flippers, or whatever, more people are okay with this than are not. That probably didn't used to be the case. But the ground seems to be shifting on this one. I have a couple clips to play for you. One is a segment from Ryan Hogue, PSA president. This is a video that I did about 4 or 5 months ago. I think it was when I was in New York City, where they directly discussed card cleaning directly. He danced around it, but about as directly as we're going to get, air quote, on the record. This is from an Instagram live that they did, and this is from the video that I did on it. I will play this clip for you really quickly.
If a card is graded by PSA, the owner cracks it out and repairs the card in some form and resubmits it. Can the grade bump? How does how is this looked at internally? This isn't something we speak about very often.
Yeah, this one's got a lot of nuance to it, so I'll probably spend some time answering this one. So, first off, if you crack and resubmit a card, there is no hard and fast rule that you're going to get the same grade. So you could get a higher grade, you could get a lower grade. A different grader is going to likely be looking at that card the next time it comes through. One thing that we are doing though is we're imaging everything that we see now, pre and post grade. So if it's a serial numbered card, we will be able to compare those images and
we
see.
do track those. That is a common question.
We do track those. So we will have the images of the card. So to the repair part of that question, that's the touchier one. People have asked me this about, like, there's certain folks that advertise on IG about like helping repair surfaces and remove scratches and things like that. Generally, surface like cleanup, if you're removing scratches or fingerprints with microfiber or whatever, that's generally okay. I think where you start having problems with getting it through our authentication and grading is when you are doing, I'll just describe it as heavier duty, kind of like restoration, whether that's like rebuilding corners or edges where it's clear there's chipping or something that's happening there and you were trying to like repair that, or obviously if you're cutting edges to make it sharper, more better appearance, that's the kind of stuff that is going to get flagged by our graders and not.
So as you can see there, pretty clear cut on trimming, restoration, color touch, that sort of stuff. Surface, he dances around. Does not give a clear cut answer because I think it is difficult to give a clear cut answer on this topic from what we discussed earlier. Whereas, how are they supposed to tell if the material is not there anymore? And that's what Peter from SGC cited. This is an interview I did with him well over a year ago, but I have a feeling this information still holds up. This was his response when I asked him about card cleaning.
Here's the deal, Rob. Our graders, okay, are humans. However, they are assisted by very, I don't know what the definition of very advanced is, but certainly to me, it's very advanced technology, okay? They are trained as well as a human being can possibly be trained to pick up all varieties of alterations. In addition to that, the technology that's assisting them happens to be the exact technology you'd like in place to pick up many of these alterations. However, you cannot detect what isn't there. What I mean by that, Rob, is if you clean a card and there is zero residue on the surface, quite literally, unless our head grader was in the room while you cleaned it, he's going to put a numerical grade on that card because there's nothing there to point to. I mean, we can't just sit here guessing, making, large assumptions, almost like it's too good to be true. I mean, again, those calls are made all the time, primarily in vintage, remember, is where the alterations are really, really prominent. but it's really the same style and vintage. It's if there's any sign, we're going to kick that card. However, if there's no sign, there's no sign. You know,
if it's not there, what are you supposed to? So there's Peter's take on it, and I think Peter's take is what it ultimately comes down to. Is most of this stuff is not leaving any residue behind. So how are they supposed to catch it? It really comes down to that. It's going to be a hot button one. It always is. Curious for your thoughts and comments down below. I assume I'll probably be doing something very similar to this in another 6 to 8 months. Catch you on the next one. Peace.